What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Welcome to day 165 of the 365-day graphic novel review challenge. Today, I want to talk to you about another book from the Authority series. This is The Authority, Earth, Inferno, and Other Stories, written by Mark Millar with art by Frank Quitely, and there's also a couple of other stories in here written and drawn by other people who are not those gentlemen. One of them is written by Joe Casey, one of them is written by Paul Jenkins, one of them is Warren Ellis returning to write a short story, and then a couple of those were drawn by Cully Hamner, and one of them was drawn by Georges Janty. I don't know if I pronounced that right, and if I did not, I apologize. So the main story of this book is kind of a follow-up on the ending of Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch's run on the series. Basically, in the end of that run, we had this giant alien presence that the Authority believes is the closest thing they have to God, and it attacked the planet trying to get rid of humanity. Well, now here we are told that Earth itself is basically trying to get rid of humanity because it's scared. After what happened at the end of that run, basically it's terrified of what's going to happen next, so the Earth itself is trying to get rid of humanity and just trying to get rid of all this stuff that's been happening to it. So the Earth is creating all of these natural disasters, trying to get rid of humanity, and the Authority doesn't really know what to do because the one guy who could probably very easily fix this is the Doctor, and he recently overdosed on heroin, and so now they kind of have to figure this out on their own. And we find out that one of the previous guys who was the Doctor back in the 1960s, he went crazy and he killed like 12 million people, and he is in this weird super prison, and somehow he is the only person who is going to be able to fix the Earth and make it stop trying to attack humanity. And so they come to an agreement where the current Doctor gives the previous Doctor all of his superpowers for 1 hour, and then the Authority is going to have to try and distract him until that hour is up, and then the current Doctor gets his powers back. And it's a very interesting idea, but it's very flawed because the Doctor, the current Doctor, he recovers from his heroin overdose before they give the previous Doctor his superpowers. And I don't know why the current Doctor can't just fix the planet like the previous Doctor says that he is going to do. Basically, I get the feeling that Millar and Quitely had this really cool idea what if the Doctor was a bad guy, or what if one of the previous Doctors was a bad guy and he got his powers back and the Authority have to fight him. And so they evacuate the entire planet, they go to all these other alternate realities, and they take thousands of people from this reality and drop them off in all these other realities. That's a really cool idea, but the way that the Authority goes about getting to this point is really stupid. I still don't understand why the current Doctor can't do what the previous Doctor says he is going to do. He does do it, apparently. He does fix the planet, and then he's going to destroy the Authority. And it seems like a really big risk to take, but then once we get to that point, basically all bets are off as far as the plot making any actual sense. Because as they are very fond of reminding us, the Doctor has godlike powers. He can go back in time. He can stop anything. He can do anything that he wants. So it doesn't make sense that they would give these powers to this guy. And then the way that they stop him is that apparently he inherits the current Doctor's empathy towards humanity, which is really stupid because we are told again and again in this series that each Doctor inherits the abilities and the skills of all of the previous Doctors that came before them. So that means that this evil Doctor from the 60s, he inherited, several thousand years of experiences and skills from all of the previous Doctors who came before him, and then our current Doctor, he inherited everything that came before him. What does not make sense is that suddenly our evil genocidal Doctor inherits empathy from our current Doctor. That doesn't make any sense at all because that's not something that they would have inherited before. Apparently, though, that's how they defeat him. That's really stupid. I don't get it. Then we get a couple of other short stories, one of them that focuses on the engineer, one of them that focuses on Jack Hawksmoor, one of them is kind of a revival of these Cold War era super weapons. That's really cool. I like those stories a lot. It makes me wish that we had more stories with the Authority that were small one-off stories, kind of like Planetary, instead of these big, huge, epic cinematic storylines that have to take 4 or 5 issues to wrap up. I wish we had more stuff where Midnighter and Apollo, they go and they fight a bunch of bad guys that they met back when they were on the Stormwatch Black Ops team. Something like that, just for an issue where we get to meet some of these characters and get to know them a little bit better. I really like these little one-off stories at the end here because it gives me a chance to get to know the engineer a little bit better. It gives me me a chance to get to know Hawksmoor a little bit better. And not to the degree that I would like. I still don't think that these characters are as fleshed out as they should be, and we're talking, this is volume 3 of this series, and these characters still aren't as fleshed out as they should be, but they are considerably more fleshed out in these couple little one-off stories than they were in all of these big storylines by Millar, Quietly, Ellis, and Hitch. But overall, I think that this story is okay. I think that they could have done something with this premise of an evil doctor fighting the Authority without doing it in the way that they did it. But overall, I would say this is like a 6.5 or 7 out of 10 if I had to number it. But those are my thoughts on the Authority, Earth, Inferno, and other stories. I hope that you guys liked this video, and if you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with a different video. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.